Yeah, you look much better now.
Hold on. The fact that you can see me more clearly and the fact that you say it's better, I'm not sure I buy you on those two things, but whatever. Okay, this is Back to Basics. Matt Robison, Mike Morton, Financial Life Planning is part of our ongoing Back to Basics series where we dive into the basics, the things that we really should know. And I guarantee you, I don't. So if you're feeling like you don't know the basics, this is the perfect mini series for you. I'm going on a journey of discovery right alongside you. The only difference is you can feel great about not knowing the basics, dear listener. I can't because I sit with Mike for this show and I should know these things by now. I should, but I don't. What are we covering today?
Well, it's okay, Matt. There's a lot of basics. So today we are covering Roth conversions. And this comes up in a number of different situations. So I just wanted to we'll lay out the basics of what this means. And then there might be some future episodes on how to apply it in certain situations. But today it's back to basics, a Roth conversion is what we call it. And that's what we're going to talk about.
A Roth conversion sounds to me like a euphemism for trying out Judaism in your life, which I'm in favor of. I want to start with, all right, you promised basics. I'm going to hold you to that. First of all, what you're talking about with a Roth conversion is IRAs, right? That's what you're converting from, IRAs?
Not necessarily, but nice guess, Matt. Good try.
Was it? Was it though?
Was it though?
Boy, you're really letting me down easy. Yeah, nice guess. Yeah. Translation, you're wrong. Let's try that.
Plus, you didn't even tease the one thing yet. You know what you got to do. I don't know why I hired you as a host.
Where are you? One thing I want to tease you. Oh yeah, you have such a meta thing because at the end you're going to explain my own perplexity to me, and it's glorious. I really like it. All right.
That's it.
So hang on till the end if you want to know why you should introduce more perplexity into your life. That's all I'm going to say about it right now.
There you go.
All right, I'm wrong about what you're converting from. Let's talk about the starting point for
Roth conversions. Yeah, let's start with the definition. All right, a Roth conversion. What we're doing is we're moving money from a traditional account to a Roth account. Now you're right, that could be an individual retirement account, an IRA, but it could also be within your 401k, could be within a 403b. So not worried about the account type, right? There's many of them out there, lots of flavors. But the definition of a Roth conversion is moving money from a traditional account to a Roth account. So obviously the next thing we should maybe cover, Matt, is what is a traditional account and what is a Roth account?
Hey, Mike, what's a traditional account and what's a Roth account?
Oh, man, you are good at this.
Thanks.
So
I'm not ChatGPT, I promise.
Right. That's right. So traditional accounts, it's when you pay the taxes. All right. So traditional accounts, you contribute money to them and you have not yet paid tax on that money. So we call that tax deferred. You're deferring the taxes. So when you contribute the money contributed to a traditional account, you have not paid taxes on it. The Roth is exactly opposite. When you contribute money to a Roth account, it's already paid tax. You pay taxes that year on that money. And then when you take it out, you don't pay tax. Whereas the traditional, when you take it out, you do pay tax. So it's when you pay the taxes. Traditional has not been taxed yet, tax deferred. And Roth, you have paid taxes and it's tax free.
Traditional, 401k, 403b, IRA. You put money in, the government does not take taxes yet. And it's an incentive so that you will want to save more, which the government wants you to do for your own retirement. And that incentive is your money that you put in will grow on its own without having the tax drag. The tax comes later.
Yep, that's it. And a Roth conversion is transferring money or converting money from the traditional account to the Roth account. So that's what the definition of Roth conversion is. We are transferring or converting money from traditional over to Roth. That's a Roth conversion.
I see. So the incentive with the traditional is you don't pay taxes now. They grow without tax drag. The Roth, the incentive is you pay the taxes up front, and then the drag has happened. And so then they grow tax-free forever and ever at that point. And the conversion is you go from one scheme to another.
Yeah, the conversion is you go from one scheme to the other. The incentives, you could say they both grow tax-free. They're both fantastic accounts. All right, so we're not going to do the brackets today on which account is better. That's for the future. So they're both fantastic accounts because both of them grow tax-free. Once the money is in the account and invested, it grows tax-free. And that's just great. All right, so you don't have a tax drag. It's just when you want to pay the taxes. Do you pay the taxes when you put the money in? Want to pay the taxes when you take it out? We're not going to go over which is better today. We're going to go over Roth conversions, which is converting money that's in a traditional over to the Roth. So now I've defined it, and we need to get into how you actually do it and why you might want to do it.
Mike, why would you want to do this? If they're both so fantastic.
It's like we have an outline for this show.
Right. No, well, this is, in my professional life where I've been a consultant, this is the quintessential role of the consultant. You take someone's watch and you hand them the time. I am proving that any monkey who's capable of talking could do my job. Wait, that's a bad idea. Why did I say that out loud? That was stupid. Yeah. No, but seriously, if they're both great, why would you convert?
So they're both great. All right. And so when you want to use one or the other or convert, today's conversation is all based on your individual circumstances. Okay. So let's get into it. Why would you want to take money from your traditional and put it into the Roth? Now, when you do this, the reason why you want to do it is to save on taxes. Okay. That's why we want to do this, is potentially you will you want to have a plan where you're going to save money into your pocket by not paying tax. You're going to minimize your tax bill over time. And I'll show you how that works. But recognize the first thing up front here is when you do the conversion, you actually owe tax on that money. Okay. So converting money, Roth conversion, you're taking money from the traditional account, transferring it over to the Roth account. Now remember, the traditional you haven't paid taxes on, but the Roth you have paid taxes on. So when you transfer the money from one to the other, that's the year in which you're going to pay tax on that money.
I think I know what's coming.
What's that?
Pay taxes when your marginal tax rates are low.
That's right. Yeah. So when do you do, when's a good time for these Roth conversions? Let me just first, again, highlight, you're going to pay taxes when you do the conversion. So let me tell you how it actually works. So you've got $1 million you've saved in your traditional IRA. All right, that's great. You've been working for a long time. You've invested money each year. It's grown. You now have $1 million in your traditional IRA. And this year you're going to transfer, you decide it's a good idea to transfer $100,000, do a Roth conversion, $100,000 from your traditional IRA to your Roth IRA. So you have your accounts at Fidelity. All you do is log into Fidelity and you go to transfer and you say transfer from my traditional $100,000 to my Roth. They're, both accounts are there at Fidelity or Vanguard or Schwab or whatever. And you just tell it, yep, I want to transfer $100,000 from this account to this account. It's going to give you a bunch of warnings about taxes. And you like, yep, I know all that stuff. No problem. You click yes, and the $100,000 goes across. And then you invest the money in the Roth, and it's sitting there. All right. Now the $100,000 that you just transferred, I told you, how easy that was to do. When it comes time to file your taxes, you will have $100,000 of income in 2024 if you did that this year. So when it comes time to file taxes, maybe you've got a W-2 job, so you got that income. Your partner, has a part-time job, you get that income, and then you're going to add. Fidelity is going to send you a thing that says, and you did this, you took money from traditional to Roth, $100,000. You're going to add that to your taxes. And so therefore your income for this year is $250,000 instead of $150,000. You add the $100,000 and you pay tax on the $100,000. So that's how it actually works during a Roth conversion.
Makes sense in theory, because if I've got a low income year, great time, I can follow that. That's a great time for a Roth conversion. I'm adding to my income, and so I'll take the hit, pay the taxes now because I'll pay less in taxes, and then I get that tax-free growth forever. But still, everything you just said has the feeling of, if you're going to go skydiving, you can pack your own parachute. It's easy. You just click on the instructions on Fidelity, and it'll just send you a notice like, okay, you're about to pack your own parachute. And you say, yeah, it's easy. I just click there, and then you just jump out of the plane. Mike, is this the kind of thing that people should decide for themselves, or should they talk to some kind of tax expert or financial planner or both?
Yeah, that's a great question, Matt. I could see you're like, I don't think I would ever actually click those buttons by myself.
Yeah, I'm glad they make this so easy. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, right.
So easy.
Yeah, it's a car. You just jump in and you press the drive yourself button. No, thank you.
Oh, actually, my son thinks, yeah, no problem. He's about to learn how to drive, and he's like, I already know how to drive. This is easy. All you do is get behind the wheel and steer. Like, what's the big deal?
Oh, this is a nightmare. It's like in that Zorro movie. It's like, do you know how to sword fight? Yeah, the pointy end goes in the other man. No.
There you go.
It's a little more complicated than that, dude.
So I totally hear you and agree. If you're thinking, I'm going to tell you some more about when you might want to consider doing this. I would highly recommend consulting a professional. It doesn't have to be, you just want to get some guidance, all right, on this, because you don't want to mess it up. It's hard to undo. It's pretty hard to undo if you can at all. Most of the time, you cannot undo these things. So you definitely want to do it. And when we're talking about this, I just mentioned, maybe you do $100,000. The reason you would do that is you're saving maybe $10,000 to $20,000 of taxes. And if you're going to save $10,000 or $20,000, maybe you want to spend, a few $100s or whatever to get some professional advice. So yeah, I definitely agree, Matt, usually this is part of a plan. So when would you do this? The typical ideal time is the following. I run into a lot of people that have been working hard for many years, been saving in their 401k, they're getting towards retirement, and they've got that $1 million all saved in their traditional 401k. That they're going to put in their transfer to their traditional IRA.
In fact, aren't there a shocking number of 401k millionaires in America? Yeah. Didn't you tell me, it's some unbelievable number?
Yeah. There's a lot. 400 this last year, Fidelity reported 485,000 participants surpassing $1 million in their 401ks. And the average balance in those is 1.5 million. So there's lots of people. In fact, this is why I run into it all the time, Matt, is that people have done a great job saving. Like they signed up, they got auto signed up, they've saved, they've got $1 to $2, $3, $4 million, but it's all tax deferred. And part of the reason for that is that was what was available. These Roth accounts are newer. They're not super new, but they're newer. And many people just saved in the traditional all tax deferred. They got that message that you said at the outset, Matt. Hey, if you put in the traditional 401k, you save taxes. You don't pay taxes this year. And everybody's like, well, that sounds great. So they've saved, $1 million in their traditional IRA, traditional 401k, and they're about to retire. So what happens when you retire? Suddenly your income goes way down. Maybe you're not collecting Social Security yet. You're not collecting your pension yet, whatever that is, and so I was making $200,000 a year. Now I'm literally kind of making nothing. All right. And so now your tax bracket's way down. And so that is a great time to do Roth conversions. Like you said, Matt, pay taxes when taxes are low. So you got $1 million in your traditional IRA. Your Social Security is not kicking in for 5 more years, let's say. So you could convert maybe 100, 200,000 each year. And your income would be $100,000 to $200,000. And if you're a married couple, you're still in the 24 under the 24% bracket. So you're paying 24 cents on the dollar, all right? Or even lower, 10 cents on the dollar if you're in a 10% bracket. So that's a great time. If I showed you a graph of your federal tax bracket, you're working, you're in the 24% bracket, and then you stop working at age 60 before you start collecting Social Security. You got 5 years, you dip way down, right? And then you're going to go back up. And so that's when you want to do this conversion and pay taxes when your tax rate's low.
So your goal in doing this whole show is just to give people a screening criteria to know that this exists and to essentially say, I am in a lower income hence lower tax bracket year. Therefore, time for me to think about this. And before going to the pack your own parachute option on Fidelity, I'm just going to call my financial advisor, my tax preparer, or both, and say, hey, I'm thinking about this. Hey, here's a fun story. Like 2 years ago, you and I had this conversation. I'll just reveal to the listeners. You and I had this conversation, and you said, dude, you need to have a Roth IRA. Like, what kind of an idiot would not have a Roth IRA in my life? I felt pretty bad about that. And you even sent me an email that said, it's an easy 3-step process. Just A, B, make sure you establish a Roth IRA, then put some money into it, and then invest it appropriately. And then you had this disclaimer at the bottom. But don't just do this. Talk to me first. So you know what I did? I left that as an unread message for 2 years. I mean, I read it, but then I turned it back to unread so that it would remain a to-do item. This is a terrible way to organize your to-do list, but like a schmuck, I did it. And then I decided, I'm just going to let go of this because if I haven't gotten it done already, I'm not going to do it anytime soon. But it underscores your point that, it's good to know about these things, but you shouldn't just go off and do them. Just make sure you do it right.
Yeah. It's great to know a lot about these strategies because I'll run into people that had a great opportunity last year. It's just like, man,
Right.
You know what you could have done last year? You could have made $20,000, or saved 20,000. So another good point, Matt, is if you have, this is what today's episode is just about Roth conversions, that these things exist. If you have a traditional account with some money in it, you can do this at any time. Okay, you can transfer money from the traditional to the Roth. You will pay taxes during the year that you do that. So if you're just working and chugging along, you're like, great, file this away, no problem. Not that interested in Roth conversions yet. Mike said, hey, when I'm getting close to retirement, that's a great time. Another great time is if you have a low income year. You're taking a sabbatical. You're changing jobs. Anything where you have a low income year is another great time to look at this and other strategies, to be honest. So if you have a low income year, just do some Google searching and you'll find like some good strategies for like, hey, low income, what are opportunities you can take advantage of? Doing a Roth conversion could be a great one.
Any pitfalls to be aware of?
Well, the big one is the tax, right? Like you're going to pay tax. So you're going to add this to your tax return in that year, okay? There's other things that can also trigger other tax events. So your capital gains. So anything that shows up on your tax form will be impacted by having an additional 100,000 of income. So Medicare premiums, could change. If you're in that situation, capital gains rates could change. So just be aware having an extra 100,000 of income or whatever you convert, is gonna hit your taxes. There's a 5-year rule for the Roth IRAs. So I always recommend opening a Roth IRA as soon as possible. So to your point, Matt, go back to the email, open a Roth IRA. So because there is a 5-year rule, I'm not going to get into right now, but it's just good to start the clock ticking on that. And the other big thing
that's a no regrets thing, right? You open the account and it just gives you the option.
Yeah, open the account and put in $1.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. And then the other thing is we're talking about federal tax brackets. I was mentioning 10% bracket, 24% bracket, but states also charge you taxes. Lots of states do, some states don't, right? It's all over the place in terms of income. Remember, this is going to be income, all right? When you do the conversion, the 100,000 that you convert goes on as 100,000 of income, all right? So if you live in a state like California, where you pay quite a bit in state tax on income, then that's going to hit your state tax. You're going to pay federal tax on the money and state tax on the money. Now, what if you're living in California this year, but you're planning to move, somewhere where there's no tax on income, like Washington? So you're going to move from California to Washington. Well, maybe you might want to convert next year when you're in Washington and pay no state tax. All right. So what state you live in can make a massive difference as well.
Okay, dude, bottom line, make sure you've opened a Roth IRA account so that you have the option. Screen for a low income year where your tax liability may be low. Make sure to consult a professional before you click on any of the pack your own parachute options with Fidelity. And do not organize the to-dos in your life like I do by leaving emails in unread status. Anything else we missed?
No, nothing we missed in the Roth conversion. That was, the back to basics on what a conversion is, how it works, what you actually do. Two things I'll point to where we use these. I've already told you one, which is during the, I just retired, but I don't have a pension or Social Security yet. So suddenly your income is very low. Great opportunity for doing these conversions. Two other ones that we run into all the time, backdoor Roth conversions. You notice the word Roth conversion in this sentence, backdoor. We've had this episode before, so you can go back and look, but we'll probably do another one soon on the basics, back to basics on a backdoor Roth conversion, which has some nuance to it. So that's a situation. And the other you might hear is a mega backdoor Roth conversion. And what this is usually in your employer account, your 401k or 403b, where you do this during the year. And again, we might have an episode just dedicated to that because there's some nuance to that as well. But people might have heard mega backdoor, and it is both of the backdoor, the mega backdoor. It's this Roth conversion piece. So now you understand at least the Roth conversion piece, how it works.
I assure you, I have not heard of the mega backdoor Roth conversion. I was hazy on Roth conversion, then you added backdoor, then you added mega, which makes me think of the Meg, giant shark. That's all I've got in my mind right now. I assure you that my perplexity is at record levels. Speaking of which, let's get to our one thing. I'm about to be even more perplexed. Why?
Perplexity. I have switched my search engine from Google to perplexity.ai. And you should do the same. It's awesome. So Perplexity is a new search engine. You know how Google now, do you get this, Matt, where Google will give you like an AI result at the top and then it'll give you like, yeah. So Perplexity is just an AI search engine and it gives you those kinds of results with all the citations. And it's fantastic for doing research. So I still use Google if I'm like looking for a website, like, I'm trying to, find this website, what's the name of it, or, some kind of simple thing like that. But if I'm asking a question, like, I'm interested in like summarize for me, like backdoor Roth conversions. Perplexity.ai does a fantastic job of delivering the results in a readable format with the links that you can then follow to the webpage. So rather than Google, where it's like, here's just a link of websites and you have to navigate to the sites, to find the answers, Perplexity just gives you the answers. It's fantastic.
It's really better than that little spiel that the Google AI gives you at the top now?
I find it a lot better especially for doing research. Yeah, so if you're looking for like, here's a great example, Matt. For this episode, for this show, I was like, of course I know all this stuff, but I was like, hey, give me a great summary. Give me a podcast summary for explaining Roth conversions. And boom, just gives me, it gives me the AI result, it gives me the whole thing. And then it gives me citations I can dive into and kind of research and see where the stuff is coming from. But yeah, it's a fantastic engine. So I highly recommend trying it out.
I love hearing that you're outsourcing your thought process to AI because it makes me feel better about my status as a chatbot. As far as the listeners know, I do not exist. I cannot pass a Turing test. I am not real. If you click the prove you're not a robot box, I can't do that. My only piece of marketing advice to the Perplexity people is, why the heck are you calling it that? Call it clarity, for goodness sakes. I don't need to add perplexity to my life. What is wrong with you people? Clarity. Just my 2 cents.
All right, there you go. Maybe the domain name wasn't available. So instead we just went the opposite way. Perplexity.
Perplexity. All right. Well, on that note, my perplexity couldn't be any higher, but you've added some excellent clarity on Roth conversions. Mike Morton, I'm Matt Robison, or the chatbot thereof. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for joining us on Financial Life Planning. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to and rate the podcast on Apple iTunes or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. It makes a massive difference. If you have a comment or question, please email me, mike@mortonfa.com. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. This recording is for informational purposes only and should not be considered for investment advice. Opinions expressed are as of the date of recording. Such opinions are subject to change. I cannot guarantee the accuracy or completeness of the data presented here.